So continuing today with the questions, with our yellow workbooks. Here. Yep. Yep. Anyone need? We have it from yesterday. No, we're doing that at the top. It's the other one, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we did Aleph, Beis, Gimel, and Daled. Now we're up to 8. What do you say? What are the two reasons for a Yid's inherent emunah? Simple emunah, we should really add. But emunah is just simple faith. What? One reason.
And then
Right. We use even a stronger word than connected. The neshama, the essence of the neshama up there is one with the essence of Hashem. And therefore, it's even more than seeing. Remember we said when you're certain about something, because you see it, by definition, it means whatever it is outside of you, right? You have to see it. The second interpretation is it's not just that Hashem sees Hashem, but Hashem is one with Hashem, and that's where the certainty comes from. What is the difference between the two levels?
the first one is something outside of us for the soul. Like if you just said it sees it, so it's separate. I mean, a little bit, certain level it's not it, and the second one it's like it's the essential bond with them.
Right. And practically, because it's a little bit outside of me on some level, that means it's not absolutely one. So under tremendous stress, under tremendous challenge, I might separate myself from it. If the emunah comes because I and Hashem are one, that's inseparable. I can't separate myself from myself. Oizvov. When is the first level of emunah revealed, and when is the higher level of emunah revealed?
The higher is one we're crushed.
Right. And I guess, I know maybe it's not a time. The first is just in ordinary circumstances. The first level is in ordinary circumstances. But when we're crushed and being oppressed and being prevented from learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, that brings out the higher level of emunah. When we see that Yidden are ready for the Mesiras Nefesh. Number 2, which level did Moshe reveal in his generation, and which level of emunah did Mordechai reveal in his generation?
Moshe the first. And Mordechai the second.
Right. Does the above apply only to Mordechai or to all generations of Galus suffering from oppression and life-threatening decrees?
All generations.
Right. In every generation. Why? What did we say? What is that quote from we had yesterday? Ispashtusa, the Moshe. There's an extension of Moshe, b'chol dor v'dor, in every generation. The source of that is the Zohar. Zion. What is the difference between Mesiras Nefesh the Yidden had in the time of Purim and the Mesiras Nefesh the Yidden had in the time of Hanukkah?
Oh, in times of Purim, it was all the
Right.
mostly.
The man had to show it and his family. Right. Why do we only find an explicit statement regarding Mordechai that he was like Moshe, if all the leaders in the generations are like Moshe?
Because he got the Jews this level of why are we running?
It says in Gemara that Mordechai in his generation is equivalent to Moshe in his generation. We're saying that in every generation there's someone like that.
He was equal?
The answer is because in his generation it was Begolui that revealed. Not always that it's so open to see who is that person who is the leader of the generation. Good morning.
Morning.
Wow, nothing stopped you. No slow, hail,
Like
rain or shine.
I'm the postman.
You got that? This is nefesh. Okay.
I love snow.
Okay, so, what does the Rebbe say regarding the Frierdiker Rebbe, regarding this subject?
Oh, but he won motion. Yeah. But I see from my generation.
But also that it was Begolui. In other words, you openly saw that he was the one that was giving Yidden the strength to have Amunah when they were being, mainly in Russia, where they were being crushed. Again, you can't really blame the other people because if they were to do those things, their life would be in danger. In fact, the Frierdiker Rebbe was actually arrested with the intention to be executed, and basically he was told that within 24 hours it's going to be over. It was a miracle that it didn't happen. So that's why all the other Rabbanim and leaders, anyone that had some sort of a position in the community, backed off. People ran away from Russia. So the Frierdiker Rebbe was the one that stayed there, and he encouraged everyone else to have that Mesiras Nefesh. I remember the Rebbe once spoke by Fabrengen. He was actually choked up when he was speaking about it. He said that to encourage others to have Mesiras Nefesh is even harder than having Mesiras Nefesh yourself. It's much more difficult to tell someone else to give up their life than a person should give up his own life. Ois ches. You know what? When I did the mimer, I didn't go into this, the technical part, the order. So let's move on to tests. What are the two ways to explain when? We're talking about when, the time. When did Bnei Yisrael re-accept the Torah in a complete way? Was it before the decree? Or was it after? Oops, I gave my answer. Okay.
I was after the decree and then after like the miracle for him.
Right. So the simple pshat in the Megillah is that it happened after the miracle happened. So the miracle, they were so inspired and so uplifted that they accepted the Torah on a whole new level. And that's what the Gemara means on a simple level. The Alter Rebbe explains it that it refers to the time when they were under the influence of the decree because they were crushed. I don't know what the author wanted with number 2. What is the difference between these two ways spiritually?
Not just that the being crushed is more.
Brings out more of the essence.
I thought the answer was gonna be like that. After the miracle, they're just crushed by gullus, but before they're crushed also like in physical circumstances.
Right. So number 3. So basically in both cases they're crushed. But here they're crushed because of being oppressed. And here they're crushed because of there's no oppression. So just the fact that we're in gullus. Number 3, why is one crushed from being in gullus if it is a time of good and plenty, physically and spiritually?
Keeping your fact that we're in going.
Deep down, the Bible says that we're crushed. Because Hashem is not revealed in this book.
Right.
Oh, right.
Because even though everything is good and then technically I can do all the mitzvahs, but Hashem is not revealed. And being that that's what the essence of Yiddishkeit is all about. Of course, Yiddishkeit is learning Torah, giving tzedakah, Esrog, Lulav, Shabbos, Kashrus, Karas Mishpacha, Chinuch, Torah, everything, that's Yiddishkeit. But all this is, in a way, a means to an end. The end is to bond with Hashem, to embrace Hashem, whom I love. So therefore, that means that the main aspect of everything in Yiddishkeit is lacking. So therefore, not to compare, but I remember when I was in Australia on Shlichus, there was this college kid used to be coming around to learn like once a night. One day we had a discussion. So he said, the truth of the matter is, I really follow most of the commandments. There's only one that I don't, but most of everything else I follow. So I was curious. I said, which is the one that you don't? I don't believe in God. So I said, so why do you follow the other things? So he said, I just think it's a beautiful way of life. In other words, a person could understand that observing Shabbos is a beautiful way of life. Observing Taras Mishpacha could be a beautiful way of life. Observing being careful with the kashrus and the food you eat, a beautiful way of life. But that's not what Yiddishkeit is all about. It's not just a beautiful way of life. It's all about connecting to Hashem. And every mitzvah is an expression of my love for Hashem, my awe of Hashem. And therefore, if godliness is not revealed, the main thing is missing. Number 4. Good morning. I was waiting. Thank you so much. Shuli walks in, she brings brachas. Look at that. Wow. Why would a tzaddik like the Rebbe feel crushed to the core? Of course, the question is, if the person's a tzaddik and he feels godliness and he sees godliness and he's experiencing godliness, why would he be crushed to the core? So the Maimer gives 2 reasons.
Because Hashem, godliness isn't revealed in the world, like forever.
It's still not revealed.
So even if by him it is, but it's not revealed out there. I was thinking of an example. Let's say a mother who loves her child. And she finds out that in school, the other kids in the class don't like him. Does it bother her or not?
Yes.
Why? She loves her child, so what's wrong?
She knows he's a good kid. And she cares about him.
Right, because she loves her child, she wants everybody to feel positive about him. She wants everybody to like him and to admire him and say that he's a good kid or he's cute and they like to be friends with him. It hurts her. Basically, if I love Hashem, I want everyone to love Hashem. In fact, there's a medrash that says, it's on the pasuk, V'haftas Hashem Elokecha, you should love God, your God. So the medrash says, how can I know if I really love Hashem? And the medrash answers, if I try to see that other people should love Hashem. And that was the thing with Avraham Avinu. He loved Hashem. And what did he do? He went all over the place telling people about Hashem and bringing them to respect and love Hashem. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before you leave, I have to give you something. So, yeah. And what's the second reason? Second reason a little bit more complicated. The second reason was another thing. According to this, it means yes, he has it, but it's not out there in the world. The second reason is if it's not out there in the world, that means that even what he has is somewhat limited, because it would really be the unlimited presence of Hashem, then it would spread to the whole world. So even he is lacking. Number 5, the answer to the following question is not in the Maimer, but was explained in class. When an ordinary Yid screams Ad Mosai, by the way, about the niggin, I think it was Ad Mosai, do we have to wait? I think that was the niggin. Like, it's not even a long tune, you just go over and over and over and over. And I remember at a certain point it started dying down, then went higher, back down, higher, an hour and a half. When an ordinary Yid screams at Masai, is he or she truly crushed to the core from Hashem's essence being concealed?
Their neshama is,
Yeah.
but like, they just don't feel like consciously, probably.
Right. I wrote, give two answers. What's the second answer?
That when they do it, is that the answer? Like if they do it, like they feel it internally and they do it externally, then,
That's the first answer.
oh, fine.
The Rebbe unlocks that.
Right. The second answer is if I'm connected to the Rebbe, which is my head, and he has that feeling, and I outwardly act and think and speak in that way, so that means that the previous, that means that I am truly, because of my connection to the Rebbe, connection to my head, therefore what I'm doing is also true. I remember one time the Rebbe was talking about Niftzayim, going out. So I think everyone here must have had that experience, something about yourself or the way you spoke to others. And you walk over to someone and you ask them if they want to light Shabbos candles or whatever it is, and their face lights up, or their eyes light up. I'm talking about the good experiences, not the one that says other things. And they're all excited. And not only that, one thing leads to another. Like I remember there was a student here, she said she was in college, and she saw across the street this girl with her father walking with a lulav and an esrog. She goes, "Oh, let me move faster." And then she sees from the corner of her eye they're coming towards her. Oh no! Anyway, the end of the story was she benched lulav and esrog, and the end of the story was she ended up in Mechol Liadus. Okay, but what does it mean? How do you explain it? So I remember one time the Rebbe was speaking very strongly why people don't go out and reach out to other Yidden. And the Rebbe gave an interesting example. He said the famous story with the Alter Rebbe, when he was arrested, every day or every once in a while, the Alter Rebbe was arrested, and the place where he was in an island. But when they came to questioning, they went back to the mainland, to wherever the court was. And over there, they were questioning him, and they went back. So he used to go with a little boat from the island to the mainland. One night, it was the beginning of the month, and the Alter Rebbe said to the captain of the boat, "Could you please stop the boat so I could do Kiddush Levana?" Why do you have to stop the boat? Because when you daven, it's supposed to be settled. But when a boat is moving, it's not settled. So please stop the boat so I can do Kiddush Levana. The captain, of course, didn't even think twice and said, "No, of course not." And suddenly the boat stopped. Then he tried to fix it. A mechanic tried to fix it, wouldn't budge. Finally realized it's not going to budge. This rabbi must have some power. So the Alter Rebbe said, "So you see that the boat stopped. Could you please now stop the boat so I can do the Kiddush Levana?" So the boat started to move. He stopped the boat. The Alter Rebbe did Kiddush Levana. He was a smart man. He realized the Alter Rebbe is a tzaddik, and he asked the Alter Rebbe for a bracha. There was a chassid that met this captain's son, and he had in his possession a piece of paper, and he had it in a frame of gold, the Alter Rebbe's handwriting, and he gave him a bracha. And basically, he gave him a bracha for three things: one, that he should become wealthy; two, that he should be promoted to a higher level in the way he works; and the third is that he should have a long life. And all three things were fulfilled. So the question is an obvious question, which is asked in the Sichas. And the boat already stopped. So why did Alter Rebbe needed to move and then need his favor that he should stop it again? It stopped already, so just do Kiddush Levana. On the contrary, then you don't need him. Anyone remember the answer? Because we did speak about it, Yutas Kislev.
Can't rely on miracles, like, let's do it in a natural way.
Right. Mitzvahs have to be performed in the physical world, which means in the natural world. So Alter Rebbe wanted to perform the mitzvah under circumstances of nature, not miracles. And therefore, he wanted the boat to be stopped in a natural way. But the fact that he stopped the boat in that way, that's what made it possible for this guy to stop it in a natural way. So the Rebbe said, when you go out and do Mivtzayim, the Rebbe said, you don't have to do anything. The Rabbeim already stopped the boat. They already are doing what needs to be done to inspire that man and that woman to be ready to go more involved in Yiddishkeit. All you have to do is just approach them and make it happen up Teva. Which means really a person will be walking down the street in the middle of Manhattan and suddenly, why did I get more involved in Yiddishkeit? That doesn't usually happen. But when you approach them and you say something with a smile, they ask a question, you give an answer, and they're somewhat happy with your answer, and one thing leads to another, but really, again, it's coming from a higher place. The Rebbe is giving that bracha, but it's coming through a natural way that I'm approaching someone, saying something, and that's influencing them. How's this connected to the halacha that you force somebody to say "Reitzani," I want? In other words, in a case where they have to bring a carbon, or they have to give a get, or something else which they must do it willingly, and if they don't do it willingly, it's not valid. So you force them to say the words, I want to do it. What does the Rambam say?
Shama really does want.
Right.
The physical self doesn't, so by saying I want to. So
Right. And then we have the other question, so why do you even have to say it?
You have to remind you.
Right. Also because Torah and mitzvahs have to be observed in the physical world. So it has to be verbalized, it has to be action. So verbally I have to say I want. And what about inside? So we say inside, Hashem says that you really want, so it's considered true. Okay, these are the questions. I think this is it in chapter tests. Yeah. So now we'll go to the terms. Let's see how we'll do there. The terms, that's in the beginning. And that will start with 34. Sapsa v'chibur. What?
I think man
Sapsa means command.
and choose.
And chibur,
Choose.
that's bechira. It's the same letters, but rearranged differently. Close. What? Strength. Connect, right. You notice that the last letter in the word sapsa is an aleph. I don't know if you remember, I once told you the rule, a letter that ends with an aleph is Aramaic. It ends with a hey, it's Hebrew. So in Aramaic, sapsa means connection. And that's what it says, ata tetzava means you should connect. In fact, every time we make a bracha, Baruch Ato Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, Asher kitshanu, Vitzivanu means, and we're connected to you through this mitzvah. And in fact, the word mitzvah also is the same words as tzapsa, connection. So chibur in Hebrew means connection. Chibur is the Hebrew, and tzapsa is the Aramaic. This is when right in the beginning of the Maimer, he said, Hagilui, the Gilui of Anoichi. You remember what that means?
My feet, because of the 600,000 people on foot, revelation of the level of Anochi is drawn down on Moshe's midst.
Right, very good. What is the level of Anoichi? Anyone remember what that is?
Hashem, like about the name.
Good, very good. Yeah, that's the answer. Every name of Hashem, Hashem has many names. Hashem, Elokim, Kael, Shin Daled Yud, Tzvois. Every name describes a certain attribute of Hashem. Anoichi means I, which means it's not describing an attribute, it's the essence of Hashem. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, through the Yidden, that level which is called Anoichi shines in him. Let's turn the page to 35. Raya Mehemna.
Our shepherd thing.
Right. By the way, I don't know if Rabbi Lugo, did he mention where this term comes from, Raya Mehemna? Usually this comes along with references, but unfortunately, I think I had that flu, Baruch Hashem, and I didn't get a chance to put it together. But in the Zohar, when you look in the Zohar, you'll find certain pages on top, it says Raya Mehemna. And what does it mean? That this page was written by Moshe Rabbeinu, which means Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, who lived so many years after Moshe Rabbeinu, he incorporated some manuscripts that were handed down from Moshe Rabbeinu, and he incorporated in the Zohar. So when you open the Zohar, on certain pages, in fact, Mishpatim is one, next parsha is one of the places where it has it. And in Tanya, you find a few times, Raya Mehemna. It means the part of Zohar that was written by Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's what we see, that Moshe Rabbeinu has that title, Raya Mehemna. Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, that's the first time that Moshe Rabbeinu is referred to, right?
I think so, yeah, I think that's the source.
Wow.
And this is both, as you see, Aramaic. The Zohar is pure Aramaic. Gemara is Aramaic mixed with Hebrew, like Rashi. But Zohar is pure Aramaic. Makif and Pneumius, I think you all know what that means. The Makif means external, and Pneumius means internal. Number 4 is, this is one of the terms, is Pashtusa the Moshe Shebechol Der. Right. And the word is Pashtusa means the extension. Number 5, Ma'ar. Right. Is light, and Ma'ar is the source of light, which is the essence. In general, in Hebrew grammar, when you put the mem in front of a word, it means, that's like, for example, achila means to eat. Ma'achil, if you put a mem before, it means to feed someone food. It's like the source. So is light, Ma'ar is the source of light. Number 2. Really, it should have said in not number 2, page 36, Oiz Dalad. Number 1 is Giluyim. Really, there should have been a slash next to that, and next to that it should say Etzem. In other words, what is the difference between the term Giluyim and Etzem?
Revelations and the essence.
Yeah. Giluyim means revelation or manifestation. Whether you're talking about a neshama, you're talking about Hashem, or really about anything, there's certain aspects which is a manifestation of the essence, and then there's the essence itself. Like in a person, my thought, my speech, my actions, my feelings, this is a manifestation of my neshama. But the core, the essence, the source of everything, that's the essence. Same with Hashem. Helam v'Hester, concealment. Let me just skip for a second. Number 4, Moshe Shebederei. Right. Number 5, Etzem HaNeshama. Number 3 is not something so common, but because it's quoted quite a bit, especially in reference to Purim, I put this in. I don't know if you remember, but it's in the Maimer. Also al daitam machsheves chutz chas v'shalom.
Oh, this one is talking about them doing idol worship externally, like no thought.
Getting hot, warm.
No thought against Hashem comes up and then comes to them.
Well, this is, I think the source for this is actually the Alter Rebbe. And what is it that once the decree against the Yidden came out, the king said, I can't take it back. Of course, I put the seal of my ring on it. And once I put the seal, I can't take it back. So that year, the Yidden did tshuva, and the war was actually a year later. The Alter Rebbe said that entire year, the thought of converting and joining the Persians, and then by doing that, saving their life, not only no one did it, but the thought never even dawned on anyone, chas v'shalom. That's what these words mean. Also al daitam. It didn't ascend to their consciousness, which means the thought didn't even dawn upon them. A thought, a chutz, meaning a foreign thought, a thought which is foreign to Hashem, chas v'shalom. So that's the Mesiras Nefesh we're talking about, that they were so committed because they were crushed, that not only they didn't do it, the thought didn't even dawn on them. It was so sort of inconceivable that it's not that there was a dialogue in their head and they had to overcome it. It didn't even dawn on them the thought to do such a thing.
Where's the source that the author gets it?
I don't know. I looked around and I never saw a reference. That must be the source of the Alter Rebbe himself. Yeah.
Like, is it?
I mean, there's-
something known for other, let's say other people that, right?
There's certain things. Guess what? Did you ever hear the medrash that says the Shachanti b'Seicha means to dwell within everybody? Where's the source? Guess what? Everyone quotes it, but no one has it says in medrash, no one has the source. So how do we know that it's authentic? Because it's quoted by people like Shalah or others, and therefore we know that, but they're quoting it from earlier, and we don't have the earlier. So the answer is there are a lot of midrashim, a lot of manuscripts that unfortunately throughout the ages got lost. So that means there was a time where people had it, and that's why it's being quoted, but never came to the later generation. So this could also be something that maybe was something that was in a medrash earlier, and then unfortunately, because of the situation in Golis, it got lost. Number 37, Mazlayu Chazi. Mazlayu means the mazel, and Chazi is the Aramaic word for seeing. The mazel sees it. Number 2, hiskashrus atzmis.
His essence is connected.
Right. Hiskashrus means connection, like kesher in Hebrew means connected. Atzmis means on a level of the essence. Not like two things that become connected, but something which is in essence one. Number 3 and number 4. And the Neshama Malabeshes Beguf. Right. Right. So number 3 is the neshama that's invested in the body. And number 4 is the part of the neshama that's l'mayla. I remember explaining l'mayla doesn't mean sort of geographically in a different place. L'mayla means that it maintains its original spiritual level, that it sees and hears and experiences godliness no different than before. The going into the body didn't affect it. So it's not really considered in the body, meaning it didn't really change. But the conscious part of the neshama is what changed. Yeah.
Wait, so there's a part of the stomach that's like in the body, and then there's a part that sees Hashem, and there's a part that's like connected to Hashem. It doesn't.
Right, that part is connected to Hashem. Just like, is there a part that's more than just?
Like are the two types of faith separate parts of the soul? Like one part sees Hashem and one part feels connected to Him.
What we said, the 2 levels of Amunah, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But even the part that sees Hashem is also not in the body. What does it mean it's not in the body? It's not changed because of the body. Even though the neshama is in the body, that part of the neshama remains unchanged. And that part sends me signals that it's Shabbos and I suddenly feel inspired that part of the neshama sees what's going on and gets all excited. I remember in 1994, and it's connected to a Zohar, I won't go into that right now, but it was shortly after Gimel Tammuz. Shortly after Gimel Tammuz. So there was something in the news that there were meteorites that they said for the next week, they're going to be crashing into Jupiter for a whole week. You can probably find this on the internet, 1994, the summer. And after it was all over, they said that this would be equivalent, what happened would be equivalent if planet Earth would, God forbid, be hit by, that's what they said, maybe 3 million atom bombs. So you can imagine the noise, the fireworks.
You could hear it.
No, that's my point. No one heard anything, no one saw anything, because it's happening all the way up there, millions of miles away. But then there are those that see it and they give it over to us. In a sense, that's what the neshama is. The neshama sees things, and the neshama is there and sends us signals, lets us know what's happening. And we are, really? That's what's happening?
Wait, when you say that, though, when you say that the part of the soul is makif, now you're saying it's really dwelling inside, but it's just not touch.
Makiv means it's not in my consciousness.
But is there a difference between the part of our neshama it's dwelling inside of us, but it's not being touched, it's not being affected by us, but it's inside.
It's still connected to my body, right?
If there's nothing that's somewhere else, it's always us.
Right, because
So,
the Ruchni, there's no somewhere else.
so it's always, our whole entire neshama is not really in parts, really all
Right,
connected to it,
Right.
inside of us.
right,
But then there's that part
right,
that's like kind of not being affected.
right. Like I said, if you explain this to a child, he'll imagine the neshama is up there and it stretches all the way down there to earth. But then your neshama also stretches, and then neshama stretches. How do they all get mixed up with each other? They should get tangled up. It's not physical, it's something spiritual. Vav, his amtus. I don't expect you to remember that, but it's in the mimer. The word is samtus, the core of the word is emes. The samtus is pretty much like a verb. When something sort of, the emes registers within me. And the point was that when you see something, it really registers and sinks in that this is absolutely certain. And when you only hear about it, that certainty is not so clear. And page 39, it's a mistake, it belongs on the previous page. What does it mean to have das in elikus, das in godliness? What? Right. Das is the part of the brain that internalizes things. So das in elikus means not only that I know, but they actually feel in a very internal way Hashem's presence. Oy Zion, it's not really a term, it's just a quote. But this is where the Rebbe says that when one Rebbe says something about another Rebbe, indirectly, it's really also something which would be applied to him himself. So the words are Pasag Balamaimer Esadin Alatzmei. That Rebbe that says that particular statement is really giving a ruling on himself. Remember this thing that said when you give a ruling, a judgment on another person, you're really judging yourself. This could be, God forbid, in the negative, it could also be in the positive. So Rebbe often says that when a Rebbe says something about another Rebbe, that's okay. Yeah. Okay. So Baruch Hashem, we covered everything. And then after the break, we will start something new in Yitz Hashem.
What's next?
What's next? I'll tell you the truth. I didn't look at the curriculum that I set up. I'm trying to
Always a
remember.
surprise.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take a 3-4 minute break and then we do Mashiach. Hi, Raisel.